congregation. I'm grateful. There it is. I'm Reverend Karen Brammer. I serve this congregation with great honor and joy and gratitude. I'm glad to be here and glad to be sharing this space with you this morning. You are so welcome, so part of the growing heart of this community, even if you have been here just for 20 minutes, or you have been here for 20 years or 50 years. You are so welcome, no matter what your journey has been. You belong here. We welcome you. We honor your journey. And we welcome folks who know in our hearts that we are, if we were truly seen in the larger community, we might not be welcome there. And so no matter how you define who you are so welcome here, and we were grateful that you came to be among us today. I will say more about this during Together Time, but we are on the lands of the Haudenosaunee, who are the 5 nations of indigenous people who have traveled these ancestral lands for millennia. And with that, I believe I'm going to step aside and invite Jeff to do the announcements before I do the chalice lighting.
Good morning. Countdown to the picnic, 7 days, 1 week from today at, what is it, 11:30, Ken Glenn? Or noon, 11:30, right? Okay, at 11:30 next Sunday is the picnic. There's a white sign-up sheet on the door by Matt and Mo. Please, when you get a chance, look and see what category you might want to sign up on. We hope everybody can come next week at 11:30 for the picnic. Reverend Karen is having the second of... Is that your second discussion of working with our covenant? Yes, after the service. That's in the Spirit Playroom, and Reverend Karen's going to talk about how we use our covenant in different conversations. Noon across the hall in the Spirit Room. And is there anybody here from the writers group? Does anybody know if the writers group is meeting today? They might be, especially if you see Rudyard, so keep that in mind. Thank you. We have a dedication this afternoon, so please, if you can spend an extra minute tidying up the sanctuary, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. I am going to ask Lorraine to come forward to do the honor of lighting our chalice, and I'll invite all of us to use our intergenerational affirmation and say that loudly so the kids in the back can hear that this is specifically for all of us of all ages, kids of all ages. And what we start with is we are Unitarian, that's a U, Universalist. We are the people of open minds, loving hearts, and giving hands. We take care of the earth and each other. The words I'm using for the call to worship come from Reverend Kathleen McTeague. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister who heads up our International Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Anyway, there's so much more that can be said about that, and we will someday. But she says, we come together this morning to remind one another, to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment, until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence and the sound of children. This house of the memory and the hope we hold is hallowed by our presence here. And if you would turn in the blue hymnal to page 1010, 1010, we give thanks. And when you're ready, please rise in body or spirit or both as you are able.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here, those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Please be seated. Now, there's a story I'm going to tell that is written by and created by two Native Americans. One is Chief Jake Swamp, who I had the real honor of meeting probably 25 years ago. He is one of the chiefs of the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee. And some of you will recognize this story, Made for Children, is on our wall as you walk in the front doors as the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving prayer. And so it's going to appear behind me. Ah. All right. Now I am going to read, "To be a human being is an honor, and we offer thanksgiving for all the gifts of life. Mother Earth, we thank you for giving us everything we need. Thank you, deep blue waters around Mother Earth, for you are the force that takes thirst away from all living things. We give thanks to green grasses that feel so good against our bare feet, for the cool beauty you bring to Mother Earth's floor. Thank you, good foods from Mother Earth, our life sustainers, for making us happy when we are hungry. Fruits and berries, we thank you for your color and sweetness. We are all thankful to good medicine herbs for healing us when we are sick. Thank you, all the animals in the world, for keeping our precious forests clean. All the trees in the world, we are thankful for the shade and the warmth you give us. Thank you, all the birds in the world, for singing your beautiful songs for all to enjoy. We give thanks to you, gentle four winds, for bringing clean air for us to breathe from the four directions. Thank you, grandfather thunder beings, for bringing rains to help all living things grow. Elder brother sun, we send thanks for shining your light and warming Mother Earth. Thank you, Grandmother Moon, for growing full every month to light the darkness for children and sparkling waters. We give you thanks, twinkling stars, for making the nights, look at that, feelings. We give you thanks, twinkling stars, for making the night sky so beautiful and for sprinkling morning dewdrops on the plants. Spirit protectors of our past and present, we thank you for showing us ways to live in peace and harmony with one another. And most of all, thank you, Great Spirit, for giving us all these wonderful gifts so we will be happy and healthy every day and every night. Thank you for these beautiful words. Yeah, full heart today. I'm okay, don't worry. I leave on Thursday to go do the memorial service for my closest colleague. I'm in the chapter of my life where I'm losing very close beloveds, and many of you are very familiar with that chapter. So the Broussards, husband and wife team, wrote a book called Spiritual Literacy, and they write about gratitude in many, many ways. But they say about gratitude, quoting Sachiko Mirata, who's a scholar of Islam, saying that gratitude is the first character trait that people owe to Allah. They continue by quoting a Protestant preacher, Elton Trueblood, saying thank you to the great provider is only one part of a life of gratitude. I find that the one thing which I want to put into practice in my own life is the conscious and deliberate habit of finding someone to thank. Say thank you to somebody who least expects it from you today and every day. Gratitude paid to all around us becomes a spiritual exercise. If from this service you remember only one thing, I hope that one thing is that gratitude is a powerful way to return ourselves to what we value the most, even in the midst of the horrible ways people can treat one another. When snagged by anger, despair, anxiety, or even swept up in the exhilaration of the fight, try to remember that gratitude can return us to love. Love is at the center of this faith and our covenant. By the way, those of you who are not familiar with our covenant, in each row there's a pink sheet of paper, and if someone would like to see it, hold your hand up and we'll make sure you get a copy of the covenant. After the service, I will host a conversation that helps us think more deeply about what our covenant means and how we might use it as guidance in conflict. It's a tool that, if we use it, will help us navigate times when conflict rises out of what UU leaders Connie Goodbread and Tandy Rogers call the ingredients of a difficult conversation. These are competing values. These are different perceptions, assumptions we might make about each other's intentions, a sense of threatened identity, a sense of vulnerability, and rage and blame. Even though many of us here feel happy with a sense of being alike, for there are many, many ways in which we are, the deeper truth is that we are quite different from one another. The more we learn how to go deep with our differences with one another, our spiritualities, for instance, our financial differences, one of the most tender, our educational diversity, another difficult one, our race, our genders, our abilities, the more honest we can be when we are in disagreement, the more often tensions may arise, but we will individually and collectively grow. The more we grow in this way, the more able we will be to navigate the broader conflicts in our society. The more we grow with curiosity in this way, the less likely we are to cast out, which I sometimes do, I confess, the 50% of the people in this country who disagree with my way of thinking in ways that absolutely astound me, befuddle me. If I have curiosity, I'm less likely to cast out those people as other, or worse, unworthy of respect. Try, if you can, as I try, when you catch yourself hearing those thoughts that they, whoever they are in your life, are awful, the months, leading up to and after this election will have terrible moments. Try to be aware of your thoughts and nurture an intention to soften judgment and anxiety in whatever way works for you. Minimally, limit your exposure to continuous news coverage if it drives you further and further away from your intentions. Know your intentions. I promise I will also try, even though I will sometimes, probably fairly often, fail, given how difficult the rhetoric and volatility already is. Our covenant calls us to dig deep for our willingness to listen, to be curious rather than judgmental or full of assumptions. Now, we can tell the truth. It's not the same as being judgmental. We can tell the truth. And we need to tell the truth. Our covenant calls us to dig deep also to remember and be guided by our mutual purpose and our reason for choosing to be together. That takes mindfulness, willingness to grow, and digging deeper for love, and it takes practice. We just have had several sessions for practicing spirituality, and just to be clear, it is very important when we as individuals or a group are stressed, are angry, or fearful, to have practiced enough so that we're more aware that we can get back to our core of how we intend to be. If the term spiritual practice doesn't work for you, think about practicing how you return to clarity of mind, how you return to your core compass, how you ground yourself more easily, how you access your core, whatever is central to you. Your personal spiritual practice, all the ways we return to our better selves, the dozens of practices you all engage in, which I've heard dozens. You do this in many, many ways. The ways we practice returning us to more open minds, open hearts, and giving hands. All those practices will be called upon and tested as we navigate the next months and years, and likely decades of healing our polarized and grievously damaged democracy. I invite us to consider, breathing, whether the upcoming presidential election is a win or a loss for you, that all people are worthy of dignity and respect, that it will be better for our own well-being to carry our covenants inside us whenever we can. Here in our congregation, the more we go deep with our differences with one another, the more honest we can be, individually and collectively. So if I can personally and collectively carry the intention to find more community and care into tough times, that's a powerful intention. I know I won't always be able to do this, but I hope I can remember more often than not to return to my core, to breathe, to return to my covenant, to who I want our country to be. When we look at the polarization of the United States with courage and openness, it is not hard to find the ingredients of the difficult conversations that our Unitarian Universalist leaders talk about when helping us manage the difficulties in our own congregations. Competing values, differing perceptions, different understandings of the truth. assumptions we might make about each other's intentions, a sense of threatened identity, vulnerability, blame. Then add retribution, fearing loss of yet more power, fear of violence intensifying everything, and know that these fears may loom large on the other side of wherever you stand as well. How are we called to use our faith when everything around us pushes polarity, disrespect, judgment, and condemnation? How are we called to use our faith? In conversations with you individually and others in the larger community, I hear echoes of my own anxieties that say, if we lose, I'm out of here. I feel hopeless. Nothing I do will make a difference. I'm terrified for the people I love. I've heard these things from many of you, and I feel those things as well. There have been times in my life when it was necessary for my safety and well-being not to engage particular battles. And I encourage you to take care of yourself. You have many gifts that you can use in many different ways. You don't have to wade into the battle. I do not judge anyone whose limits require them to stay outside of particular dynamics. And whenever I decide to opt out of an awful situation, I remember that opting out is a privilege that most people, especially the most vulnerable people, do not share. What options do people of color have to opt out of dealing with systemic racism? What options do women and girls, especially poor women and women of color, have to opt out of sexism? What options do poor and young LGBTQIA people have to opt out? I'm called by my understanding of our faith to be aware of risks and choose how to care for my core and offer the gifts that I'm able to give each time, and it will differ in different situations. When I offer my gifts, I need to do so without a guarantee of success. And this was a hard won lesson for me. I've learned it over and over again, but one in particular, in the 1990s, I was part of the Open Door Coalition at Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Many LGBTQIA, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersexual, asexual, and I add non-binary people, we work together to protect the rights of this community as employees of the city. We had such high energy and hope, and we touched so many lives. So many people were moved and were with us. And we lost. Along with everyone else in the work, I was devastated. I was devastated. And I had preached publicly, and my picture saying I'm proud to be lesbian showed up in the free newspaper on everybody's sidewalk the next day. Not only was I devastated, I was frightened. We did not have a plan to build on what we did accomplish, which was significant. We could have kept moving forward in different ways. Our leaders did not call us together to talk about it. We just ended our work together in despair and anger. If the policy had won, the real work of dealing with systemic oppression would have just begun with that win. But the loss devastated us, and it took many years to begin again. If only we had planned for the day after that kept the vision alive. Our individual and collective well-being crashed against our attachment to only one possible outcome. How much better would it have been for me and all of us involved had we held a vision that extended through the ups and the downs and the unknown? We are called by our faith to be aware of risks in these next months and years and decide to give our very different gifts as each of us is able, whether or not we are guaranteed to win. The greater vision must be kept alive. When snagged by anger, despair, anxiety, or swept up in exhilaration for the fight, try to remember that gratitude can return us to love. What we claim, that love is at the center of our faith. There are fights too focused on destroying the opposition. This is a fight that cannot be won. But covenant and curiosity alive in our hearts can help us avoid damaging our own well-being and find the subtlest of breezes that let us know that a conversation is possible. Love. It's a curious love, a risk-taking love, a muscular love is woven through our covenant, and it guides us through our differences. Love that at the right time can build bridges across polarities. May we return to gratitude and to covenant many times these coming days and months. May this keep us whole. I'm going to invite us to sing Woyaya in the blue hymn book on page 1020. I first heard this song in a group of 25 climate activists from around the world. The woman who sang it to us the first time was Somalian and told the story of women barefoot walking down the road, water on their heads, singing this song, staying the course, whether or not we know we'll win. Please rise in body or spirit.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, 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 oh yeah, 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 oh yeah, 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 oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the little laughter that came from the cartoons that were dancing on my left shoulder. Oh, that still are.
Anybody know where the remote is?
So I don't know how to preach to this. I'm sorry. Maybe one of you is familiar enough with it. Stephanie, maybe you know how to preach to this. Is there an off button that can be pressed? I object to people with braces being made to look like that. Okay. So I know I'm not that captivating that you'll be able to pay attention to what I'm saying when that's going on. So there it is. A blessed black screen. Aren't we grateful? I think if you feel moved to speak briefly with what's on your heart, that I'm sorry for people on video, but I'll be passing the microphone around this way. We can do that for 10 minutes and then move into silence. And then our offering and our UU faith in action. Sound good? Yes, that would be great, Jeff. Yes, Ro.
I'm thinking of an interview I saw on TV this week with someone politically who's 180 from me on the other side, and she was fearing that if the other side won, the side I support, that we would lose our democracy, which is exactly what I feel if the other side wins. And that's why I have so much hesitancy from the pulpit or from even candles in espousing one side over the other.
Please come forward, Mary. Mary, back in the back.
Hey, Mary.
I am reminded of a lesson I learned from my middle son, Sean, when he was 19 and he was doing a semester in peace studies at the University College Cork in Ireland. And part of that program involved meeting with people who were in prison for doing terrorist actions, both on the Protestant side and on the Catholic side. Now, I am a dyed-in-the-wool Fenian. If you're Irish, you know what that means. It means I'm a freedom fighter in my heart. And my kids always knew that. Sean got home from that semester in Ireland, and he said, "Mom, you're wrong. The English are not the enemy. Hate is the enemy." And I carried that through a little bit to the current day, and that was many years ago. And I can see how you cannot kill an idea with hatred and violence. You can't. We see it in the Middle East. Hatred begets hatred begets hatred. Violence begets violence. For every Palestinian killed, you are creating 100 more Palestinian freedom fighters. And the same thing on the other side. We see it in every single conflict. And the only thing that's going to bring us back is that respect that you talk about. Because hate is the enemy. And until I can learn to love the person I disagree with, then that's where the hope is, in banishing that hate. Even though I may hate what somebody stands for, I'm not going to destroy it by hating that person.
Back in the back, Glenn, and then coming back up front.
Yeah, I was struck when you mentioned curiosity, that we need to have curiosity. And I try to do that. I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to listen to both sides and present both sides. I try to do that in my own life with less success. But to be curious, why is it someone believes that? Why is it you believe that way? That's something that we need to do more of. I need to do more of, is ask more questions of people. Why do you think that? Why? Because I think they're completely wrong, but they think I am. So the curiosity of asking the question is important to me. I think that really stuck with me, you said.
We have time for maybe 2 more, maybe 3.
I was struck by what you said about the day after if you don't get the result that you want. And just how do you prepare for that? And though we all say, perhaps not all of us, but we say, well, I'm out of here or whatever, but I know I'm not really going to be out of here. So, I mean, what adjustments do we make? I mean, what is important for us to continue doing? I mean, I suppose it's good to take a glimpse of what that world might be like.
Yeah, I'm going to make a confession here. I wish I could say I was non-judgmental. I had an argument with a friend that I've known for years the other night, and I was asking about this neighbor that I know she still hangs around with, and, you know, she's from Mexico. She married a man from around here that has a lot of money, and years ago she had said that the two of them supported Donald Trump, and I said, I hadn't talked about it in years, and she'd just been out to Syracuse, and I said, does she still support Donald Trump? And she said, yes. And I said, why? And she said, she's a racist. They're racist. Oh. And I said, she's Mexican. And she said, she hates Mexicans too. And then in the following breath, talking about other friends that were racist, she called them good people. And I got really, really upset because two of the people in the room, my sister and my other friend, have biracial families. It was a real assault on them. And I got in an argument. Of course, I was chastised by my sister and told I was being horrible. And I apologized very insincerely in a way that I said, I'm sorry I said that to you, and I will never bring up the topic again. It's none of my business. But I cannot help but be judgmental, because to me, when somebody admittedly says they're filled with hate towards other human beings just because of their ethnicity or the color of their skin, I cannot call them good people. So yes, I am judgmental. So as I was listening to your sermon today, I sat here and I said, guilty as charged.
You're not alone. You're not alone. We all have work to do if we want to live in our covenant. One more? There, Carol.
I just want to close on a more upbeat note, and optimism is the new word that I have heard from many, many young people, and that's what I'm living the next couple of months. It's all about optimism.
Optimism. Optimism. There's I don't see what you're pointing at, Rudyard. Oh, please. We have time for one more. One more at the card table, please. You know, we've been forgetting to say our names, so I apologize for not reminding you.
Hi, I'm Beth. I've been visiting since this summer. And I'm reminded over and over again of something from a few years ago when I was dealing with a labor situation at my previous job. We had a labor organizer speaking with a group of us about a difficult situation. And we were going, how do we get through this? And he said, the cavalry is not coming over the hill. No one is coming to save you. There is only you, but you are enough. And I have seen those words be very useful in so many situations in the years since. When I'm struggling with something, I think, there is only you, but you are enough. And I think that's true for this fall. And I think it's true for things like climate change and things like that. There is only us, but we are enough.
We're the people we've been waiting for. Thank you so much, Beth. Again, oh, it's such an honor to be among people who can agree and disagree and be honest with respect and care. I'm going to invite you to enter a time of meditation, prayer, quiet, connecting to your own heart. These words come from John O'Donohue. To Bless the Space Between Us is the name of his book, and the poem is called Equilibrium, for equilibrium. It's finding our way back to something like equilibrium. Like the joy of the sea coming home to shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the wind loves to call things to dance, may your gravity be lightened by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so free may you be about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what is said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all it names. May your practice or your prayer of listening deepen enough to hear in the depths a resounding welcome from all that is, or the laughter of God. May it be so. And in the spirit of gratitude and grace, we collect this morning's offering to fulfill, to keep working at that vision that we hold dear. It's time to collect this morning's offering. After. UU Faith in Action will follow. Gratitude fills the baskets. Gratitude fills our hearts when we let it. Gratitude is what will continue the vision of this congregation for the next generations, to the next generations and the next. Another kind of giving, another deep offering comes from how we bring our faith into the streets, into action. And Barb Freeman is going to tell us a bit more how our Unitarian Universalism can be active.
Thank you. Thank you. So our Faith in Action today is about climate change and what action we can take to protect to help protect the interdependent web of life. Buckminster Fuller says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." So our new model of action isn't too new. You've heard of it before. It's solstice.us/UUCU, which stands for Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica, UUCU. If you go to that website, you can find a place to sign up for solar energy. If you don't want to go to the website, there's a phone number, which I will post back here, 866-826-1997. It's for renters, check. It's for homeowners, check. No money up front, check. No contract, check. $25 sign-up bonus for you And $25 for the church, one time. Check. 10% discount on your supply, cost of the supply, not the delivery. Check. Local solar array used in Rome, New York. Check. Democracy depends on social justice for all. Help us get off fossil fuels for the health of all people.
Awesome. Awesome. Boy, it's not often that we have something we know we can do. Wow. All right. Good, good, dear people. When we get snagged by anger or despair, anxiety, or swept up in exhilaration for the fight, try to remember that gratitude can return us to love, what we claim is at the center of our faith. Love woven through covenant that guides us through our differences, encourages us to tell our truth, and builds bridges across polarities. May we return to gratitude and to love many times in the coming days and months. May it be so for us all. And if you would say the words for extinguishing our chalice that are in your order of service, I will do that.
Remember, folks, no service at 10:30 next week. Picnic at 11:30. Please come at 11:30 and sign up. Bring something if you can. Rudyard is here. Rudyard, make yourself known. There's Rudd. Rudd is the leader of the writers group, and should the writers in this room want to meet today or another day, please check in with Rudd today.